So, The Flash has returned for the episode The Flash and the Furious. That's, it's significant because the villain for this episode is a woman named Silver Ghost who has some more dark matter tech, a fob that enables her to control machines, most notably automobiles. And she just loves to steal cars and joyride in them. And that appears to be her main passion after being booted out of the Air Force, I believe it was, military anyway. And she's mad! So she has a scheme to break out Weather Witch. Now, as you recall, Weather Witch is the daughter of Weather Wizard. And she also had a device with dark matter tech. Yes, she used it as her, basically her weather wand, if you will, to control the weather and all that sort of good stuff. And caused a lot of damage, and all in a plot to murder her father, who she didn't like him because he was a deadbeat and all that stuff. And, of course, Flash and Excess put the kibosh on that. Well, now she's up for trial and whatnot, but she's feeling bad and remorseful. And the DA, Joe's baby mama, she could sense this because of her, telepathic powers and whatnot. And so she's starting to have second thoughts about throwing the book at her and all that. But as we left the series, before we went off to that dreadful Elseworlds crossover, which started off kind of okay and then just fizzled down to, it was bad. And then we come back with this. Well, as we left things, it was revealed that Nora was being tutored by Eobard Thawne. Yes, the Reverse Flash, the original. And so this is all some sort of sinister plot by him, perhaps, or maybe not. So the whole thing, the story, was to teach Nora a lesson, because when she realized that Thawne had killed her grandmother, well, she didn't want anything to do with him, and you'll always be bad, and I'll never believe in you again. And so she goes back, and so she applies this to the Weather Witch when she's begging for a second chance, and after the Silver Ghost breaks her out, she turns herself back in, and Silver Ghost tells her, hey, you go ahead and do that, you'll learn the hard way. And then she, of course, gets locked up because Excess tells her, I don't believe you, you're not getting a second chance because crooks never change. And so she, of course, gets locked up, and she's all upset. And then Silver Ghost shows up and, of course, breaks her out again. And so now she's on board to go in this plot to steal the Batmobile. Well, it's not really the Batmobile, but they do give a little teaser or an Easter egg there that it's part of Wayne Tech. So it's this super duper car that can turn invisible and even phase through things. You might be wondering, if you didn't see the episode, where's the Flash in all this? Yeah, he took a break in his own show. These are always tend to be kind of weak episodes, and this one was no different. You see, earlier on when Flash and Excess encountered the Silver Ghost, Flash came in contact with her vehicle, and as a result of the dark matter again, whatever that can do, who knows? Just go with it. The car was kind of phasing itself, and so he was phasing to get into the car, and it's left him in a state of constant phasing. And so if he stayed that way, he would probably fall through the bottom of the earth and maybe at the other end through China. Who knows where he was going to go. So Excess had to keeping his molecules stable enough to get him back to Star Lab, and they had to put him in one of those little jail cells they got to dampen his powers so he wouldn't, fade through the floor. And they had to find some solution. So, of course, they do by the end of the episode, so don't worry. But, so the whole thing was for Nora to understand that you gotta give people a second chance. And so she has a father and daughter discussion, and she suggests, well, what about Eobard Thawne? Would he get a second chance? And the Flash says, well, yeah, I guess even him. So there you go. She decides to give Weather Witch a second chance, and she's able to pass on this message to her. And so Weather Witch uses her powers to save Excess from being run over by the invisible and ghost-like car. Silver Ghost, get it? And, well, they managed to escape, so I guess they'll be returning later. But the car was recovered by Excess and Killer Frost. It wasn't that great of an episode. It was kind of weak, and there were some cheesy moments here and there. Plus, just maybe they'll go into it later as the Silver Ghost. She just wanted to joyride in a supercar. Don't you have better things to do with your powers? But that seemed to be about it. And some of the things is like Silver Ghost couldn't have known that she'd be able to get Weather Witch back into her plan just because Excess doesn't believe in her. And so, maybe Excess would speak for her and she didn't, but she just wasn't in for the plan, and she's all upset about the supervillainy she did, so now she's just suddenly going to go ahead, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. It was kind of a dumb thing on Silver Ghost's part, but it was all pretty rushed over. You're not supposed to pay attention to stuff like that. The only strengths was the ongoing plot lines. There's something going on with the French Wells. At first I was thinking, is that really Thawne in disguise as French Wells? But no, at the end he goes to Gideon, but he doesn't know quite how to operate the computer, which of course Thawne would know. And he's looking for information about Nora, but Nora has erased all the information that was in that computer, so this leaves him a bit stumped. But he's also trying to learn the bizarre, I don't know what you call it, a temporal chrono language or whatever it was that Barry Allen introduced when he came out of the Speed Force before he could regain his normal senses, and now he can no longer do that language. But he's trying to learn it, and for whatever reason, I guess we'll find out. But meanwhile, there's also Vibes discovering that he can possibly cure the metagene and remove superpowers from people. And at first, Killer Frost is against him on this because she likes the way things are. But so they end up agreeing that they'll work on it, but they'll offer people the choice whether or not they want to give it up and that sort of thing. But it would be a solution for their current problem with Cicada. So, yeah, those are little interesting tidbits, but overall, this show was a bit lackluster compared to earlier ones, and it's kind of bad because after following Elseworlds, which was just, so by comparison, this is pretty good. So, 3 out of 5 stars, just because I like the cast in the show overall. I do recommend The Flash, but this one, wasn't that great. So there you go, 3 out of 5 stars for The Flash and the Furious. You know, because Silver Ghost likes cars, right? You got it? Yeah, you got it. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're here, why not like and subscribe, and check out the link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you.